I'm Kirby Caldwell.
Kirby Caldwell is tied right now with number 67, Kirby Caldwell. 67, Kirby Caldwell tied for first with Jake Harley. Here comes Caldwell. Caldwell going to the outside. Caldwell goes high up on the bank. He's going over Dylan Spreen. Oh, they're side by side in turn one. Kirby Caldwell takes the lead back in turn number one. Here they are, door to door, side by side, checkered flag racing. Who's it going to be for the win? Looks like number 67, Kirby Caldwell.
I'm from Neyland. I drive the number 11 car.
Well, first off, I was always fascinated with cars, trucks, automobiles, how they worked, what made the motor work, why can you put gasoline in it and it all of a sudden goes down the road. As a little kid, I was always just amazed with that. My first knowledge of racing had to do with this picture that was hanging in my brother's bedroom on his bulletin board. And I used to, as a little kid, always look up at that picture and just was amazed and thinking, just how cool is that? Not only is that somebody I know that's driving that race car, but that is the coolest thing ever. And I actually have a picture of that, original picture. This is actually a car that Mitchell's grandpa drove. And it's a picture of Mitchell's grandpa holding the checker flag, taking his victory lap around the track. And that was my first introduction into racing, was just the seeing it. So at first it was just me. And then we had some friends that were racing go-karts as well, so we would help each other. We would lean on each other for support on how to set the tire pressures and to work on the carts and how to adjust them. And we would travel together. When it was the go-karts, there wasn't a whole lot to do. And one person could kind of handle it, but it was nice to travel with a group so that you could lean on each other for help. Even though they were your fierce competition during the race, everybody was always willing to help each other whenever it was time to work on the cars in between the races. My number one pit crew member, though, was my wife. She was at most of my races after we got married. And was always there supporting me, cheering me on, taking tire temperatures, working on the car, having me some water and some food ready. Without her support, it would have been hard to do. So I don't race anymore at the time. I wouldn't ever close the book on it and say that I'm done, because there's lots of forms of amateur racing that you can still do just for fun. We actually just currently sold our last race car. It was an off-road race car we raced down in Mexico in a race called the Baja 1000. We raced it there. So currently now, no, I'm not racing. Still work on race cars with some people. I enjoy a lot working on the cars and help setting them up and help make the cars faster. That's really what I enjoy now more than anything. Driving would be great, but working on them, I really enjoy doing it. The problem with racing is it is hard sport to break into because there's not that many people that actually drive. Unlike baseball or soccer where everybody gets to play, the racing, there's not a lot of drivers. There's not a lot of spots to drive. So if you want to race, you really have to dedicate yourself and work hard and raise some money, because it's definitely not a cheap sport in any form or fashion. But yeah, just Google up local races and find some. There's all different kinds. There's dirt track racing, there's drag racing, there's motorcycle racing, there's the stuff I've done, which is circle track, asphalt style racing. Just got to get out there and dig around and go be a fan of it. It's a lot of fun being a fan. It's a lot of fun being involved too. Even if you're not driving, just being at the track, working on the cars or being around them and seeing it and smelling it and feeling it, that's what's really cool. If I just had to guess, I probably ran about 60 or 70 go-kart races. When we started racing in Houston in a car called an Allison Legacy car, we probably ran 15 to 18 races a year. So if I had to total up how many races, I don't know. I really don't. I wish I had a log. I probably ran 250, close to 300 races if I had to guess. But we were talking about how many laps have I made at this one particular track in Houston, which was my home track. And we were trying to kind of figure it out the other day, and we were probably getting up way over 15,000 laps at that one track for sure, because we used to race a lot at that one track. Yeah, I started right out of high school. I started working for our window tint shop that as a helper, and kind of started learning how to tint windows a little bit. And then I kept going to school, and at that time in college is when I started racing go-karts. I thought, well, if I'm going to race go-karts, I need to figure out how to make money. And so I need to learn how to tint windows really good, because I think I can make money tinting windows so I can afford some new tires for the go-kart, or enough money to go to the, it was $25 to enter the race, and you had to have that $25, and you had to buy race fuel, and you had to buy tires, and you had to get to the race. And so the races weren't cheap. In retrospect, they were cheap, looking back. But at that moment, I had to, so I worked hard at learning how to tint windows, and still went to school and mowed grass and did whatever I could do just to make enough money. Kind of stopped racing for a while, went off to school to LSU for a couple of years, worked at some window tint shops there, and then I had an opportunity to open up my own business in 1996. And so I did, and that started Classic Tint in Beaumont, and we've been there since 96. It's been a long time. The name Classic Tint, that's a funny question. You asked me, where did that name come from? It actually was some advice from my window film distributor. I was already buying window film, but I didn't have a company to speak of. I was tinting out of my garage at my house, so I didn't really have a company. It was just for friends, tinting windows. And when I did open one up, there was a guy named Steve Casper that he suggested you ought to use Classic Tint. There's nobody in this area that has the name Classic Tint. And so I thought, well, it kind of has a ring to it. And there's really not a lot of thought into there's nothing classic about it, or I don't know, it's just, I guess, classy in a way, But the name just kind of rung and just kind of stuck together real good. The Classic Tint just kind of stuck together real good. And I wish there was a cool story behind it, except for someone gave me that advice, and I'm glad he did, because it's an easy one for people to remember. Follow your dreams, but set realistic expectations. I hate for people to dream so big and be so disappointed whenever they don't get there. It's a catch-22. Definitely chase your dreams, but definitely be real about everything you do. My dream at one point was to be a professional race car driver and do it for a living. And that didn't work out, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. There's a plan. There's a supreme being that has a plan for you, and you just need to just chug along and do something that you enjoy. I still actually enjoy tinting windows, so I'm blessed that I actually get to. It's stressful at days. There's days I don't want to be there. So follow your dreams, and if you can even as much as work in the area that you have dreams, then you're blessed.